What's good, boys? Back again with another video. So look, so this is something I have no information on it. So we're gonna be diving into it, and I'm gonna be learning about it live. Okay. PragerU, and I've been aware of PragerU since maybe middle school or something, and I always just saw them as some alternative, ultra right wing, damn near platform that focuses on a lot of trying to dispel narratives and push more Republican or right wing narratives type shit. So if it comes to downplaying slavery or downplaying racism, that's stuff that I would see, and I was never a fan. It's some old white dude. I don't know the dude's name. He's some old white dude's in charge of that shit. But aside from that, I don't really know too much about it. I know that one girl, Amala Ekpanobi, works for them or whatever. I think that one gay dude does, Amir Odom, or he worked with them or some shit. So apparently, they've come into the limelight because Florida apparently just approved some or all PragerU videos. Some PragerU videos have been allowed to be shown in Florida schools. So it's not that they're in the curriculum, but if teachers want to show them, they can. I don't know if they were not approved before. I don't know. But I've never seen nobody use them, probably because people don't agree with them. Let's see. In this article right here. So I saw this one video. I saw two videos so far. I didn't watch them. I just saw that they existed. One was with Frederick Douglass, a cartoon Frederick Douglass, and one was with Christopher Columbus. But here's the article. Some videos downplay slavery, question whether humans really cause climate change, and insert opinions into what otherwise appear to be educational content for children. The climate change one is going to be interesting. But the downplay slavery, let's see. A lot of educators who have a traditional education background or they've been in the profession for a long time, they're going to be able to recognize in those materials that PragerU is representing what we would refer to as a logical fallacy, meaning the material that you're reading or listening to might sound like it makes sense. Okay. Florida recently became the first state to give the green light for free online videos by PragerU kids to be shown to children in kindergarten through 6th grade. Okay. PragerU said that its content pushes back against what's called woke agendas infiltrating classrooms. DeSantis repeated assertions that Florida backs education on indoctrination. Conservative radio host Dennis Prager, the founder of PragerU, has said the content is meant to indoctrinate, showcasing pro-American Judeo-Christian values. Do they have the videos in here? Is that supposed to be a young version of Dennis? What the fuck? Okay, so the video is not in here, but here's one video. It was on Twitter. This is Frederick Douglass. Let's see.
Children, our founding fathers knew that slavery was evil and wrong, and they knew that it would do terrible harm to the nation.
That's true. I've read where they discussed that.
They wanted it to end, but their first priority was getting all 13 colonies to unite as one country. The southern colonies were dependent on slave labor, and they wouldn't have joined a union that had banned it.
Are you okay with that?
I'm certainly not okay with slavery, but the Founding Fathers made a compromise to achieve something great, the making of the United States. It was America that began the conversation to end it.
That's not true. I don't because I remember when I was reading about this, matter of fact, I should pull it up. I don't know if I saved it, but it was a timeline of slavery. It was a timeline of slavery. It was a timeline of abolition, and America was not the one that began the conversation of ending slavery. Okay, that's not true. I can't find the thing I was looking for, but let's keep playing.
But Leo is correct that big problems need to be approached very carefully. Have you kids heard of William Lloyd Garrison?
No.
Nope.
He's an abolitionist like me, and he and I used to be friends, but we aren't any longer. We don't agree how to solve problems. William refuses all compromises, demands immediate change, and if he doesn't get what he wants, he likes to set things on fire.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds like you know the type.
Yeah, we've got that type in our time.
Hold on.
And if he doesn't get what he wants...
What's his name?
And he carefully. Have you kids heard of William Lloyd Garrison?
Okay, let's look that up. Because I see he's drawing a comparison from him to some of the people that protest nowadays. Because there are people that get mad and then burn shit down. Yada yada yada. He's an American abolitionist, journalist, and social reformer. He's best known for anti-slavery newspaper The Liberator. Who is this guy? I never heard his name before. American editor, right? Abolitionist. Newspaper. Garrison was the son of an internet seaman who grew up to he published a newspaper, The Liberator. And I do not wish to thank Speaker because he wanted to free the slaves then, right? Which advocated return of free blacks to Africa to the principle of immediate emancipation. Okay, so it sounds like a real nigga. That's what it sounds like to me. What the fuck? Condemn slavery as a national sin. Call for emancipation. That's the thing. Okay, so yeah, so they talking about compromise, and they wanted to reunite the country, but they wouldn't have been able to do that because of the southern in the South, the economy was based mainly off the labor of slaves, of enslaved Africans. And so they were trying to find a way to, even Abraham Lincoln said himself, if they could find a way to unite the nation without ending slavery, he would do it. Because the priority was not end slavery and, treat black people like human beings that, were brought there against the will and tortured and tormented and murdered and killed and beat on and raped. The priority was, how do we unite the nation? And then that's the second priority. So that's a fact. That's just a fact. It is what it is. I think what people have an issue with, and what I have an issue with, is they kind of, like, this little video, it kind of brushes over that fact. Like, it's just, how to make compromise, but it's like, bro, you're talking about humans' lives over, forming a country. Y'all gonna deal with it. But at the same time, that's why the Civil War happened. So, because they fought about that shit. So.
No.
Nope.
He's an abolitionist like me. And he and I used to be friends, but we aren't any longer. We don't agree how to solve problems. William refuses all compromises, demands immediate change, and if he doesn't get what he wants, he likes to set things on fire.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds like you know the type.
Yeah, we've got that type in our time.
Well, I don't know.
So,
I feel like I'd have to see some examples, because a lot of the people that were setting things on fire that I know of were people that came there just to do that. They weren't fighting for nothing. They went to protest and turn them into riots because they just wanted some chaos. So I don't know.
You're trying to work for change inside of the American system.
Precisely, Layla. Our system is wonderful, and the Constitution is a glorious liberty document. We just need to convince enough Americans to be true to it.
Yeah. And urges kids to work within the system. Is that what Frederick Douglass even wanted? I have to read up again on Frederick Douglass, to be honest with you. So that one's kind of like, I don't know about that one. So where's the other one? Okay, why critics are sounding alarm right-wing bias. Let's see. Because I definitely agree that there is right-wing bias when it comes to certain topics like this. And I think for the longest time, a lot of shit has been more on like the left-wing perspective, you could say. So I'm not necessarily against right-wing people putting out stuff like this. Because look, okay, they put out that video, and one of the freedoms that America grants is that we are able to discuss and debate and argue ideas. So someone who's a little bit more knowledgeable than me can come out and point out why certain things that were said in some of these videos is wrong. They can do that, and I encourage it, and I actually want to see it. You know what I'm saying? Because I like history, but I'm not like a super big history buff, and I remember all these different things. I just remember certain stuff, and a lot of other stuff I just gotta refresh my memory on. So I would definitely love to see someone come out and dispute the stuff that this is saying, without being emotional, because it's easy to just be like, oh, look what they're trying to push. They're trying to indoctrinate. Okay, hold on, but point out all the pieces so people can understand why it's indoctrination. You feel me? That's what I want to see. Okay, so Florida approved PragerU for classes if they want to use them. We have seen that our schools have been hijacked by the left, yada, yada, yada. And so we have launched PragerU Kids, and we started providing great entertainment, educational entertainment, edutainment. But we didn't just stop there. Now we're actually making turnkey curriculum content for your schools, and the state of Florida just announced that we're now becoming an official vendor. This means that your teacher cannot be fired for using PragerU content. Miami Times confirmed, Florida, Okay, this is what is PragerU. PragerU has repeatedly presented disinformation and ideas rebuked by experts in the videos, okay? Joseph McCarthy in 2016 wrote an entire feature on PragerU's video called Fossil Fuels, the Greenest Energy, which had garnered 1.5 million views at the time. The video presented was a major date. Flows major solutions. Okay, so I want to get to the history part. Not the fossil fuels. Okay, I don't care. 2017 wrote a story lambasting PragerU for claiming that fascism was a left-wing idea. D'Souza claimed that it could be proven that it was a leftist idea by examining the political writings of Mussolini's court philosopher Giovanni Gentile. Wrote that the judgment also classified this that of almost all scholars Gentile's work from across the political discussion to review him as ideal. Okay. Most people disagree with him. He's just a tip of the iceberg, however. Daily points out that the PragerU no wage gap have claimed that there's no wage gap between men and women and that it's praised Confederate regression to slavery. Okay. Praising E. Lee for crushing an attempted slave rebellion. There's no wage gap between men and women. There's not. There is, but not in the way that these people try to make it seem. That's something I agree with. They try to make it seem like, okay, for the same job, same experience, a man and woman is not making the same amount of money. Listen. There are laws against that. So if you can prove that is happening to you, you can sue their ass, and more than likely you're going to win, because it's clearly stated you cannot discriminate people based off their gender, sex, color, creed, all that. There's a gap in what jobs they work, and there's a gap in how much they work. You think about maternity leave, think about women tend to take more vacations than men, and women tend to not work the same dangerous jobs or high paying jobs that men generally do. So of course there's going to be a pay disparity because men work the higher paying, more dangerous jobs. And as is what it is. There's not a lot of women in STEM compared to men in STEM. Maybe that's going to change. A lot more women going to college and being in college and succeeding. But again, majority of women don't pick those jobs, so it is what it is. You can't force that. So that's nothing wrong with that. Europeans can and others have noted inaccuracies in videos claiming that Europe is committing suicide by allowing mass migration, that whiteness and conservatism are under attack. I think that conservatism is under attack for sure. Whiteness, I think people on TikTok are attacking it. Okay, well, listen, they're not really. I want them to break down tell me some of the stuff that's wrong, bruh. You know what I'm saying? These specific videos. I think, well, they're saying they have a problem because of those past things that they talked about, called them out on for being wrong about. Obviously, there's some bias. Look how they treat certain things as fact. Oh, the wage gap. Oh, yeah, that's a fact. It's not a fact. So I understand why conservative media would try to push back against that stuff, because look how they treat certain things as fact, even if it's not. I don't really have a dog in the climate change fight. I've seen arguments for both, on both sides, saying that climate change is going to end the world in 50 days if we don't change now. But then also like, bro, climate changes all the time. In all Earth's history, climate changes. You know what I'm saying? And you're trying to make regular people change their habits, but the main pollution comes from big corporations and factories and stuff. So I've seen both sides' arguments. I think humans definitely have affected the climate, I feel like. But I think most of the blame is on corporations. Okay, anything else?
Florida recently approved the use of teaching material from a conservative nonprofit aimed at bringing more conservative ideology into public schools. Investigative reporter Kaylee Legrone wanted to know how many Florida school districts are planning to use it. And after contacting every school district, Katie reveals what she found.
Slavery is as old as time and has taken place in every corner of the world.
From cartoons suggesting slavery in America wasn't so bad.
Being taken as a slave is better than being killed, no?
Yeah.
Video offering young.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's super crazy. Well, at least you're a slave, you weren't killed. What the fuck? Yeah, what? Shut up. What's this? And this is why. Yeah, hell no. Not supporting that. I don't have a problem with people saying stuff like this and making it, because that's your right. Now, like I said earlier, our job is to just call out when bullshit is bullshit. Obviously, that's bullshit. I want to see that full clip.
Young girls' tips.
Make yourself pretty.
On how to embrace their femininity.
Embrace the idea of being a wife or a mother, and allow yourself to stay at home to raise your children.
These are among videos produced by PragerU.
I mean, whatever. I don't care. I don't care about that. I mean, they push the opposite all the time. I don't care about that.
A conservative media company that describes itself as offering a free alternative to the dominant left-wing ideology in culture, media, and education. Florida's Education Department recently approved some material branded as PragerU Kids for use in public classrooms. We've discovered just how many school districts plan to make it available to students here.
We are not encouraging the use of those materials.
In Pasco County, the district has no plans to offer PragerU content content, but if a teacher wants to use it,
we would probably have further conversations about what your rationale is, what standards is it supporting, are there other resources that might be able to be used.
Across the state, we've discovered material from PragerU is also not being encouraged this year by dozens of other school districts. In fact, after asking all 67 school districts in Florida if they plan to make PragerU content available to students
I would never work with these niggas, bro.
This year, just over half responded.
I've said it before, bro. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. Both sides be lying about shit, okay? So I just like to, I'm me, okay? I'm just me. I like to call out bullshit. If I see bullshit, I'm gonna call it out.
And all but a few telling us no. In Miami-Dade, decisions on teaching materials for the year are complete, with additional resources, quote, not being contemplated at this time, stated a district spokesperson. Same for Broward, Pinellas, Palm Beach, and Lee County schools, where its leaders, quote, have not even talked about using it, so it's not available.
We want a good, wholesome, patriotic...
So really, it's kind of like a nothing burger, I guess. Like, all it is, they allowed it to be used if people want to use it. But I'm sure a majority of people is just not going to use that shit. Because, you know what I'm saying? And if anyone does, I would like to see the classroom. Because I want to see people argue and debate about that shit. Yeah. Because, I mean, there was debates before. You know what I'm saying? When I was in school, there were people be arguing and shit. I think when I was in school and they was talking about the Civil War, I forgot what grade that was. And the teacher said something like, oh, it was about they're fighting about state rights. And I'm like, okay, yeah, state rights to what? State rights to own slaves. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's other stuff, but that was the bottom line because it's about the South's economy from the free labor, the stolen labor.
Education for our children.
In a recent interview with our reporting partner, ABC Action News in Tampa, the company's CEO defended the organization and its content, which also portrays claims of racial profiling by police following George Floyd's death as a myth.
As the false claims of racial targeting spread, so did the anger and violence.
Our attention here at
Come on, bro. They know damn well. That's stuff I don't like. We know damn well that there are police that do target black people, okay? Because bias is a thing. You know what I'm saying? There's people that, okay, they see black people doing stuff, and they know like past criminals they've had that are black or whatever, or past issues that they had with black people. They see a black person, they might be prone to thinking about, okay, their past experiences. That's a real thing. People do it all the time, not just police. So to try to say it's a myth is retarded. It's stupid.
Is to prevent the gaslighting, to get more parents involved, to get parents to be aware that there has been indoctrination, a one-sided indoctrination in America's schools.
The state's PragerU blessing comes just days before most Florida schools reopen. And while that's likely caused several school districts and even conservative counties to table its use this year, Volusia and Sarasota, who both had several school board members endorsed by Governor DeSantis during last year's school board races, are among the only districts who told us their teachers will be permitted to use PragerU to help meet Florida's new civic and government standards.
So they'll be permitted, but that doesn't mean that they will use it. Volusia and Sarasota. That's funny because those two places, they mean something to me to an extent. That's funny.
State has approved this material. Most districts tell us they are not letting their teachers use it until district leaders review it first.
Okay, good. They're going to review it first. So that's good. Roland Martin had something to say about it too.
All right, folks, let's talk craziness in Florida. Now, we see what's happening with African-American studies and what's happening. You know what these fools are actually doing? They now are allowing PragerU, the hardcore right-wing conservative site, to now provide educational materials to students in the classroom. This is a perfect example of how the right...
And it'll never work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Wing in Florida is allowing right-wing ideology to come in. So while they're trying to get rid of DEI, they're attacking CRT. They got no problem with these nutcases having their videos shared in classrooms all across Florida.
Yeah, PragerU Kids is absolutely right-wing propaganda. There's no other way to say it. And as you just mentioned, their early funding came from two hydrofracking multi-billionaires, Dan and Ferris Wilkes. So much of the PragerU Kids curriculum is explicitly embraces climate denialism, and that helps to explain why the curriculum or the programming writ large, as you said, is chock full of anti-black racism, anti-LGBTQ messaging, inaccurate history, propaganda. Really, the list goes on. And this is now approved.
All these folks freaked out when white kids were protesting in the wake of George Floyd. And what they're trying to say is, oh, no. We cannot have these white kids out here learning the other American history, which is actually the factual one.
Exactly. One of the videos that I think encapsulates what's going on so well is that there's a mini series, a sub series in the PragerU Kids universe where these two white kids, it's an animated show, these two white kids go back in history and visit historical figures. And in one of the episodes, they go back and visit Booker T. Washington. And this episode is instructive for a couple of reasons, one of which is that it provides truly...
You think it would be interesting to go and watch some of them and, like, you know, go through certain shit and, like, and then really look it up? That might be interesting.
Awful history of the Civil War. The fictional Booker T. Washington tells these kids at one point that in describing the Civil War, he says, hundreds of thousands of men died in a war that resulted in my freedom. So what this line tells us is that it completely erases the that enslaved people liberated themselves. And all of the existing scholarship on the Civil War says that that is the most historically accurate way to understand the conflict itself.
What?
And the lead up to it was black people and enslaved people organizing to free themselves, freeing themselves, fighting alongside the Union Army. And then later on in that episode, the fictional Booker T. Washington says, remember, children, future generations are never responsible for the sins of the past. And then one of the kids says, okay, that's great. I'm not going to feel guilty about this historical stuff anymore. So as you were just saying, this is a total reaction to kids of all races learning accurate U.S. history, and most importantly, learning how that history continues to order the present.
I wonder, okay, because I actually want to go look at that, because the line that he specifically referenced, I mean, the only people that I see that disagree with that are like people that like to cry about white privilege. But I mean, it's facts. Like, if you know, if someone that I was related to did something to another group of people, like that's not my fault. It's not. I didn't. Excuse me. Like, I didn't gain nothing from that. It's an idea that some of these people try to push though on kids. I don't think people push it en masse. It's just certain people. They try to push it like, oh, you know, white people need to feel guilty for what white people were doing back then. And it's like why would you push? How does that idea work? Okay, that's kind of dumb. Because it's not like every white person had owned slaves or whatever. It's not like every white person was a raging racist. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't really make any sense. So I don't know why he picked that example to bring up as if that was a bad thing. I don't know. Well, that's the thing with some of the people that's on like the left side. They try to deny certain shit. They try to deny damn near everything. Like, I support calling out shit that's false and shit that's not true. Keep it fair. Don't ignore stuff that your side does. You know what I mean? Republicans and conservatives have a reputation for being racist and all that because of shit like this, where they try to, you know, downplay slavery. They try to downplay certain shit that happened, which is facts. You know what I'm saying? They try to downplay it. That's true. I've seen it. At the same time, the left, these motherfuckers, they tend to exaggerate certain things, or they leave things out, or they I mean, both sides do the same shit. They both do the same shit. So you just gotta use your brain and really research and see what's true for real. Because both sides of people that are trying to talk to you, they have an agenda that they're trying to push. Conservatives, they have an agenda. More left-leaning liberals, they have an agenda. So listen to what they say, do your own research, and see what is really true or not.
And continues to inform racist domination, class exploitation, and other forms of oppression that we live in the United States. And this is an attempt to sort of cancel out any of that progress and revert to this comforting and false notion that there's kind of progress in the United States that just happens automatically, and that we have lived in a country of maybe there's been racism in the past, but there were never racists. And either way, it doesn't have anything to do with the present moment.
Absolutely crazy. Go to my panel. Questions, Reese?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment that this isn't about education or teaching. It's about indoctrination. And it's funny how Republicans project that the liberal left or the progressives are the ones trying to indoctrinate people when that's exactly what they're trying to do. That's my comment.
Absolutely. Greg?
I mean, both. I think both sides try to indoctrinate for sure. Don't let them indoctrinate. But, you know, left-leaning stuff is what's the mainstream. Anything mainstream is the left-leaning opinion because, you know, the idea of being progressive is not inherently a bad thing. So, of course, that's going to be what people look at. You know, this is America. There's so many different types of people here. We be accepting of everybody. You know, we're all Americans, even though we have different cultures, different backgrounds. Cool. But the left kind of sneak in certain things to, you know, make their opinion the mainstream opinion. So certain shit that you could say is indoctrination, like, you know, especially the main shit that's nowadays, okay, like the wage gap shit, right? Boom. A lot of the main shit nowadays with, you know, making everybody think that they victims, even though ain't shit happened to them. You know, some of the shit with these kids and trying to convince some of these kids that they're not who they were born as, you know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, indoctrination right there. Can't even hear him.
Listen, thank you. Thank you. What you think about this attempt by these well-funded things like Prager? And I've looked at the Prager University website and the Prager Kids. Seems like the biggest views they get is like the ones between 300,000 and 400,000.
The previous panelist, one thing that's so important to understand is that Prager, the founder, Dennis Prager, recently admitted at a conference in Philadelphia held by Moms for Liberty, which is designated as a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center, that it's a fair statement. That's his phrase, quote, a fair statement to say that PragerU indoctrinates kids. So I absolutely agree that this is about indoctrination. As to the point,
yeah, because I mean, technically, you could say that anything is indoctrination. You could say that religion is indoctrination. You know what I'm saying? You grow up and your parents take you to church and tell you that this is what you believe, and then this is what you believe it. You know what I'm saying? You didn't make a choice to think about it. Be like, okay, this is what I believe. You're just a kid. You grew up in it. So really, you could say that a lot of things are indoctrination. You know, like that. You would have to admit that fact. You say, oh yeah, see, look, it is indoctrination. They're trying to teach kids this, teach kids that. Well, y'all teach kids stuff too. Wouldn't that make it indoctrination? I think the only thing that would make something not indoctrination is if it is the truth. If it's the truth, then it's not indoctrination. I think the thing is everybody sees what they're saying is the truth. So to everybody, what they're saying isn't indoctrination. Because in their opinion, their perspective, it's the truth. So, you know, at the end of the day, what's true, what's not true? You do your research. You know what I'm saying? You cite sources. You look at peer-reviewed stuff, and you know that's where we make the truth from. I'm done watching this Roland video though, because I don't care. I do want to. I want to find the Christopher Columbus one, the full one, but because I don't know. I feel like even in public schools, because really the more liberal propaganda is more so you could say in universities. I don't know about no public schools, elementary, middle school, high school, because you know when we learn about stuff, they kind of just kept it basic, boom, to the point. When I grew up and going to school and shit, like when they talk about Christopher Columbus, yeah, he discovered America. They talk about how they did the Native Americans, they did them dirty. You know what I'm saying? They may not have gone into extreme detail in some like the more horrific stuff that they did or I think did. But they say, you know, they came and, you know, they got people sick and, you know, they did a lot of stuff. They, you know, raped them, shit like that. They talk about that. You know what I mean? Yeah, allegedly there's Mansa Musa. He's related to Mansa Musa. I forgot his name, but I looked him up. He was they think that he got to America first, but they can't really. It's circumstantial data. They can't really prove it all the way. But there's some people who think that he got here first. But yeah, you know, all type of shit. Anyways, I'm rambling. I'm tired. Let me know what y'all think about this whole thing in the comments down below. Overall, I think I really don't care. Most people aren't going to use this shit anyway, but I think that it's okay because if people see there's something wrong with something or something they're saying is not true, they're going to call it out. And that's a good thing. So, you know. Yeah, Florida. It'd be a whole different story though if they're saying that they had to use it. Oh yeah, hell no. But when the way some of these people are talking about it, made it seem like that's what they were saying, that though they had to use it. It's been approved by Florida schools. Like that don't mean they're gonna use it though. I think somebody else said somebody too. Tariq Nasheed says something. I don't even know where to start this educational kids cartoon. From the anti-black think tank PragerU, the rewriting of history, the jabs at modern black activists, the white man doing the voice of Frederick Douglass. Conveniently leaving out the part, Frederick Douglass beat the fuck out of the slave drivers and freed his damn self. Was that conveniently left out or not needed for the conversation at all? I need to refresh my mind on everything Frederick Douglass. I ain't gonna lie to you. But yeah, man, that's the video. Let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. It's already getting long, but I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.